What is the crack, lads? We are now live. Do not adjust your screens, your phones, your cameras. Do not click in and out of the app. You are witnessing this firsthand. Yes, I am the main host of this live podcast channel tonight. I am joined and gladly, well and truly happy to present to you our new main character of this channel. Martin, how do you feel?
There's no bigger build up than that. I don't really know what I can add to that. Do you know what I mean? It's
Look,
yeah.
a man of
Listen,
your caliber.
delighted. Exactly.
Happy
No,
days, happy
listen.
days. No,
Yeah. Go on.
a man of your caliber needs a big build up. Like, do you know what I mean? Be honest, you're one of a kind now to us on this channel. So happy days, happy days.
Exactly. Yeah. Listen, for those
Um,
who haven't seen me, I've been on a handful of times. Tried to get on during a couple of the midweek ones. Done an odd few spots. For those who haven't seen me, if you're watching us for gang for the first time or whatever, I was on Loaded Mag. I was part of the Newcastle Loaded Mag with Daz and Pete and Chris. Kind of wrapped that in the summer last year because it focused a bit on family and work. But yeah, a little bit of spare time again in the diary. So listen, delighted to be asked on. Like yourself, Will, Julio, Jonathan, Keane. And the guys, listen, delighted to be part of it and be a formal member. So yeah, listen, thanks very much. Delighted.
absolutely brilliant, Martin. Absolutely brilliant. Now, another man that probably needs no introduction. You've seen him a million and one times on this channel on different occasions. I battled him in a debate, biggest club in London. Brilliant show. Check it out if you haven't seen it. Here we have William Bryant. How are we getting on with him?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. Absolutely buzzing trying to be back on the show. It's been a little while, but good to have a chat with the lads about football, especially when we're doing
I'm
well.
sure it is. I'm sure it is. Exactly. And that is 100%. I knew straight away, given the topic that coming up first, I knew you'd be on top form. And given how your club has been in this season, doing absolutely mighty, which, as you can see by this title we have, Arsenal title favourites, brings us in lovely to the first topic. I think there's only a point in between the three of them there now, between City, money grabbers, the Liverpool scum, and at the moment, fucking mighty Reds Arsenal. Like, it's mad to see. Sure. Look, William, we'll start off with you, given you being the Arsenal fan here. How do you feel about this whole season so far?
I'm feeling good. Like, I'm feeling better than I was feeling, strangely enough, even this time last year. Like, I know this time last year, it was the start of the blip where you're hoping it wasn't going to happen, but you felt like it really could. This year, we had our blip around December, which was around the West Ham game, which I felt like, oh God, it might just be a bit of a blip season. Then we go away in January 2024 hits, and honestly, we've just kicked into gear at the right time, and it just feels like we're doing what kind of a Man City and Liverpool have done for so many years of finding their form as soon as New Year hits and just not letting anyone stop us. So it feels good at the moment, and long may it continue.
Yeah, I reckon now, with given the manager you have and the team you have at the moment, there's no reason why you can't keep it up. Obviously you'll attract more for next season, the seasons to come. There's no doubt you are a force to be reckoned with this season, and even last season you can even see it. Last season now you could even say it was like an underdog story. You didn't have the strongest team. You still had Arteta, who was still kind of touch and go in between, but there was no doubt you gave it to the rest of the Premier League and put up a fierce fight. Now to compete with the mighty City now was another story, but you're really sticking it in this season, and no doubt it's really exciting at the very top of that table. But for yourself, Martin, what are you thinking about Arsenal this season? How you feeling about them?
I think, look, if you looked at that top three and you went City, Liverpool, Arsenal, who do you want to win? I definitely don't want Liverpool to win. That's for sure. I'm not really fussed about the other two. No disrespect to William. I don't really mind. I suppose if you're a Newcastle fan, you're kind of looking at it and you're going, like, wouldn't it be kind of funny if Arsenal just lost the league by a point? Because obviously the game at St James's when Joe Linton scored, and at the 195 days, and Arsenal fans are still going about it being a push. So for me, it would be kind of poetic. It would be kind of poetic justice if kind of Arsenal didn't win it, and it was the points that they dropped at St James's that caused that. Because I think like my Twitter would probably just explode.
If you mix that in, and Liverpool end up winning it, but if Liverpool end up losing it for the same reason when you give the Spurs game that they lost because of VAR, they lost it by the same amount of points. Twitter, I don't think would hold up.
No, it would just be better just to stay off it. But to be honest, I think I hope Liverpool don't, but like they just seem to keep getting these decisions and Klopp's farewell tour, and I'm just sick of the whole lot of it. But yeah, I think I don't particularly like Arteta. I just look. I think he's assembled a good team. I think Arsenal's midfield are really, and defense are what's driving Arsenal on really this season. I think Saliba's been great. I love Odegaard. I think he just makes Arsenal tick in that middle. They're good defensively. They break well. I don't like. There's a lot of debate about the should or shouldn't have been a penalty the other night from Saka leaving the leg out. I know that's not the league as such, but there's just things about it that kind of, as an opposing fan, kind of niggles, and you're kind of going, yeah, I can see them winning, but like I kind of wish they didn't. But I think somebody has to break City's dominance, and if it is to be somebody outside of Liverpool, then look, I hope Arsenal go on to do it. It's not going to be Newcastle. So look, if I had to choose somebody, I'll say I'd rather see Arsenal win it than the other two. So there you go, William. That's about as generous I'm going to get in the season.
That's very surprising now, considering the 4-1 loss he took to Arsenal there, only a few weeks back.
Do you know what? Listen, at this stage of the season, Evan, we the only people we haven't put out to a squad to play a game is the tea lady and the fella that opens the car park at 6 a.m. at training. So, do you know, like, all jokes aside about the points we've given up, like, to still be, I think we're seventh or eighth in the league. We've had pretty much the nucleus of our squad out for a season, including the Tonali ban. We went through Europe. We were in the Champions League. We've lost so many players, but we're still sitting 8th or 7th or 8th, 4 points off a European spot in 7th or 6th.
And you're screwed.
Listen, it's unbelievable the position we're in. But a lot of Newcastle fans are going, shit season, Eddie Howe out. It's been shocking. Owners won't spend this, that, and the other. I tell you, man, we're still in with a shout for Europe. So, like, what's
100%.
It is what it is,
I've actually seen a lot of that. A good few Newcastle fans moaning on Twitter about a few games that she kind of left behind you, and how kind of giving out about Trippier as well, kind of the downfall of a few games there as well throughout the season as well.
I mean, look, it's one of those things.
You could be in a lot worse position as well. Like, I think he's
the one question exactly. Look, there's a whole piece, and I know we're going to talk FFP in that in a bit with everyone, but I think there's if you look. And I know we're not talking Newcastle, but if you look very quickly at that squad, and I think even, to be fair, I think William might even agree, if we'd had all those players fit, where would we have been in the league?
It's very true. It's very true.
Probably.
Many more questions like that to answer.
We'd have been top 4 without a doubt somewhere. We'd have been 3rd or 4th, I think. But look, let's see.
And to be fair, you still have.
That's it. The phone's out now. He's gonna go. He's gunning for everyone now.
To be fair, the last few games you have in this season aren't actually that, on paper, difficult. Like, you do have a favourable run to finish the season where you could pick up nice points. Like, so it definitely your season isn't over.
No, absolutely. But listen, where we've dropped points has been the likes of Luton. Like, Luton away, we lost 1-0. Luton home, we drew 4-4. Like, Forest, we got bet. Like, Chris Wood couldn't hit a barn door. We sell him, and he comes back and scores a hat-trick at St James's. Like, you look at some of those results along with the injuries, and you go, man, this season is like the weirdest in like 40 years of supporting Newcastle. I've never ever had a season with injuries and the results that we've had. Like, to go from a high of beating PSG and drawing 1-1 in Milan and beating PSG at home to losing in Kenilworth Road, and you're kind of going, can this season get any weirder? But yeah, look, we'll see where it gets to.
But
But
sure,
yeah,
look, right. Enough talking about 7th place. We're still talking about the top number 1 spot.
That's
or
it.
We'll say the top 3. We're on about Arsenal. For me personally, right, being a Chelsea fan, I hate Liverpool with an absolute passion. I think that's well evident on this channel and through all the social medias I go on to. I even give it the big into the Liverpool fans that have been on this podcast live. I give it the big into everyone in the group chat. Me personally, between the 3, I would much rather see City win it. Purely for my hatred towards Liverpool and the rivalry towards Arsenal. Obviously, I don't want to get Arsenal to get any fucking bigger than they are. We're being pushed for if London is blue or red at the moment, and I'm afraid to say it is kind of tipping in the way of terms of form at the moment, which is fair enough. You have to admit when you're right is right and wrong is wrong, like, but obviously you can dive deeper into that. But there's a lot of talks of with only being 1 point in it. Even though Arsenal have been mighty with their scores, winning, like we said, 4-1 against Newcastle, a few 6-0s, a few 6-1s, 3-0s, and so on and so forth. They've been absolutely dominating on the goal difference. I think it's down 51 now or something, or 52. Having more of a goal difference than United have points. That's a crazy one. I think United are on 49, I think, are they? 49 points? Something like that.
I think so, yeah, something like that.
There's a lot of talks about if Arteta is ready for the big stage. Is he fit and able to build up a squad big enough to actually pull it out of the bag this season? Are they going to be bottle jobs like Spurs in 2016, I think it was? Yeah, to be honest, I think out of the 3, I think City will win it, and I think Arsenal pushing to be very, very close. I think Arsenal will finish 2nd and Liverpool kind of 3rd. I don't know if any of you agree with that now. I think Liverpool will drop off. I think that Klopp kind of fairy tale is kind of getting to their heads and they're panicking a bit. What do you think, Martin? Or actually, I'll go to William first.
Yeah, go to William, yeah.
It's one of those head and heart. I kind of keep on hoping that the pundits just keep on saying that we can't do it. The longer that they say they can't do it and don't put us favourites, it'll suit us better. I do think this year in the league that we really could do it and might not lose again. But then again, even not losing again might not be enough to win the league. Given Man City's running, they're probably going to win every game. So that means 1 draw and we could end up losing the league. Which means in the last 19 games of the season, we'll have had to win 18 games and draw 1 against Man City to win the league. Which, look at that, is unbelievable standards. Like, to have to do that, you're looking at some of the best standards that the Premier League has seen in terms of consistency in a long time. Do I think we can do that in the Premier League this year? Possibly. I have a bit of backing that in the Premier League we're a little bit different, whereas in the Champions League we'll get found out. I think we'll be a bit too naive. Hopefully we beat Bayern in the Champions League second leg, but then I think we'd get annihilated in the Champions League against either City or Real in the semis, with the way that their mentality is so different. It's like they're getting all their nervousness out in the Champions League, but then when it comes to the league, they're like, no, this is our ground, we can do it. It's just weird seeing the difference in mentality because it's happened the whole time. That's why I think in the Premier League they will kick on. It's just we're going to have to win every game, and it's Aston Villa this weekend. We should win with Douglas Luiz being out is a big miss. The heart of their midfield, and they've been conceding a lot of goals recently. But even then, we have to go away to Old Trafford, who, yes, United have been terrible this season, but you've seen they've taken points out of Liverpool, and it's not an easy place to go. We have the hardest fixtures, but we are standing better stead than I think Liverpool will at this moment as well, especially if they lose tonight as they are right now.
Yeah, I completely understand where you're going with the comfortable at Premier League matches and kind of jittery at what was that?
Sorry. 2-0 Atalanta. Atalanta have just scored a second.
No way.
Oh, nice.
No way.
Oh, I'd love
Oh
to see
my
them go out of that now.
Oh, if they get knocked out in that stage,
It's all
the
coming in. It's
uproar
all
is gonna
coming
be
together.
crazy.
Yeah,
'Cause
it'd
they're at
be
home,
great
like,
to see a
that-
season of Klopp
It-
winning absolutely nothing in this final season.
That's
That would
the
be just,
thing with
brilliant.
that'd be the
Liverpool.
perfect script.
With Liverpool, they remind me of Arsenal last season, where they seem like they're powering through, but at this business stage, they won't have the head for it, and they're going to drop points. It just reminds me of us last season for some reason. I can see so much similarities.
No.
Yeah, no, look, I think it's been manifested into existence, and I'm delighted to see it. So many Liverpool fans absolutely roaring for this Klopp fairy tale. It sickens me to hear it, and it looks like it's all crumbling down like a ton of bricks. Thank God. But yeah, no, back to what I was saying. I think you're right in saying I think Arsenal are feeling a lot comfortable in Premier League matches. I feel like they're well used to a Premier League match, and all the players obviously are well equipped to deal with Premier League players. And I think it's been I could be wrong. It's definitely over 10 years since Arsenal have been this high up in the Champions League rounds. If William wants to correct me on that, fair enough.
I want to say it was like 2010. I think 14 years. It was like
It's 14 years then, as well over
at
10
least
years.
14 years since we got like this far. I think last time we got this far, we got knocked out by Man United. Was that Cristiano Ronaldo long range boot, or like 07 no way around that time? We
Yeah,
got,
probably
like,
around
the
that season.
quarterfinals. We always lost to English teams. So.
Yeah, no, look, I think it's a first for a lot of young Arsenal fans as well. It's reminiscent for a lot of older Arsenal fans. Yeah, Arteta has a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and so do these players at Arsenal. Try to keep the fans on their side and wanting to do the best for the club. Obviously, like I said, 14, or like William said, 14 years since they've been this high up. That Bayern match very messy, in fairness. But look, there's no reason why you can't go on and beat Bayern now in the next leg, and dare I say, get to the final. You know what I mean?
Man City or Real Madrid in the Champions League will be way too much. They have the Champions League mentality in that competition where they'll just switch on and go even more at us, and we'll just get too nervous under that stage. I think it'll be too much this season.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not so sure with that. I think Arsenal definitely have enough to beat Bayern. I think the only thing that makes me slightly nervous about Arsenal playing Bayern is Harry Kane playing for Bayern, and he just has a knack of scoring against Arsenal, as he did the other night, which kind of makes me think he's a bit of a jinx, despite where he is being an ex-Gooner, being an ex-Spurs player rather.
Oh, Jesus, don't be saying that.
Oh, sorry, yeah, ex-Spurs player. But I think the thing with Real Madrid and City, I think for a lot of teams is before a ball's even kicked, they think they've already got a losing mentality. And it's the same with City in the league. Before a team plays City, they're already looking, going, we've lost when City step onto the pitch. So 99 games out of 100, City win it because the other team have already felt they're going to lose or it's too hard to win. So the thing that I would say, like I watched the Real Madrid game against City, and yes, listen, amazing game. As a neutral, it's a game you want to watch. Proper Champions League. Some would argue should be the final, but probably the two best teams around at the moment. But when you actually break it down and you look at it, yes, they score goals, great going forward. But the problem is they leak goals as well. City are not defensively tight as they were. They're shipping goals. Something definitely going on with Haaland. Hasn't had the season. He's been found out in that he had that season last season where he was just an absolute machine. But it's like any
goal machine, exactly.
Absolutely. But the thing with that though, Evan, is it's like any new striker coming from abroad into the league. They have this amazing first season, but then Premier League defenders, they know what they're about. So the marking is different, the setup is different, the zonal is different, the one-to-one is different, and they don't get the space. And what happens is, in particular with somebody like Haaland, when it's not coming off, he doesn't play the way that he can play. So if you watch that game against Madrid, he got hardly any service from any City forward player. Foden got the service.
And do you know what was bad? I think they said in it, Haaland had 20 touches and was dispossessed 7 times by Rudiger.
Yeah.
In them 20.
If he can score some amazing goals, but he's not. When he's in that form, like that first season, he's unplayable. You just can't touch him. But this season, he's been found out. And I think if you watch the City players, there were numerous times where he was making a run or he went to move, and the likes of Rodri, Silva, players like that, didn't pass to him. They went to Foden. So exactly. Julio makes a good point there. He's a great finisher, but not as well-rounded as when he first joined. I 100% agree. Yeah. So for me, I think defensively, I think Arsenal are better, in my opinion. But I think you've got to be able to score those goals to take on a City or United. And I'm not convinced that Arsenal have got 3 or 4 in them in a game if they've got to fight for it. And I think that's, for me, where you would probably get let down. But I'm not convinced that City or Madrid win it either. I'm not convinced. I think there's plenty still in it yet. Second legs are a funny thing, away from home, some of them as well. You just never know. You never know.
You never know what could happen. But
exactly.
It's gas. It's funny you say that he's not on form. But to be honest, with the crazy season he had last, I think it was 36 goals he ended up with it overall in the Premier League. Obviously there's going to be a drop off. I don't think he can replicate that season year after year after year. And yet saying that, he is still the top scorer in the Premier League at the moment. I think he's on 18, 19, trailed by Cole Palmer at 16.
All penalties
17.
Though. Isaac has 18.
That's a story for another day.
Alexander Isaac has 18 goals, and he has a better goals to game ratio at 0.84 per game as opposed to 0.92 of Haaland.
Cole Palmer's
it's getting saucy.
Cole Palmer's happened is Bruno Fernandes' first season.
Yeah, exactly. But despite the difference in
100 million now, anyway.
Exactly, Isaac is the most informed Premier League striker this season. On goals to game ratio.
Here now, I like it.
But he's injured so much, you can't play him.
No, he's still carrying. Yeah, he's done well. He's played 1 in every 3 games. It's not so bad.
Yeah, no, but you are right in saying, and like the comment said there as well. I think Julian put it in. He's not a well-rounded player as a lone striker, just absolutely shooting at goal. He is an absolute force. Evidently, and there's no debating that. There has been a few videos floating around of him, looking like an absolute donkey before matches, in matches. First touch, trying to pass off the ball, even being enclosed. And like you said, defenders are finding them out in the Premier League. It is a bit difficult to watch, and you wonder what Pep is saying to him behind closed doors in the training sessions at halftime. What's the ideal? Now, this could be all. Like I said, it has worked from Foden, has been on form. Is it all focus on Haaland? Other players have been left loose. Foden is coming in. He's doing brilliant.
That's the thing.
He's coming up.
You've got three defenders trying to look after Haaland. They've got so much going forward. Some Rodri and players. For me, Rodri's been the best player of the season for me. Midfielder. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the world at the moment.
If not the best, I would argue.
Absolutely, but you got to look at that to a point that he's starting De Bruyne off the bench.
Yeah.
You're looking at that, you're going.
That is a mad shout.
It's so the other thing I think is, I think compared to last season, I think Pep has changed the style slightly in the way that he sets up and he plays, and I think that's affecting Haaland's game. I don't think he's necessarily going out, because last season he was kind of playing Haaland with Foden off him as kind of like a 10. He was kind of buzzing in and around him like big man, small man. Foden's playing more on that kind of right wing now and breaking through. Haaland's still central, but but he's having to come a lot deeper. But you've got the likes of Rodri and that breaking past him. So the midfielders are scoring more goals than Haaland is. So I just wonder, has Pep changed it up slightly in the way that he's playing, and it's kind of ended up like more like a 4-3-3 than a traditional kind of 4-3-2-1 than it was, you know?
To change it up a little bit with Gundogan leaving. You know what I mean? With how
Yeah.
he used to play breaking in from midfield, maybe that just hasn't given Haaland the same amount of space with changing, say,
Yeah.
his profile to Bernardo Silva or Foden in the middle or one of these smaller guys that just isn't the exact same way. That's probably why he's had to change it, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you're right.
100%. Look, I think either way, City are still a force to be reckoned with, and the reason why we're sitting here chatting shit about Pep, and Pep is out there managing arguably one of the best teams in the world. He's a tactical genius, and obviously he has a plan in action and a plan in place to try to keep things going. It's obviously working, like being a point in the top three. I was only come to the end of the Premier League at the moment, and putting up a right fight against Real as well. I think there's no reason why they shouldn't beat Real in the second leg. And to be honest, I have a score prediction. Now we can leave that to the end. There's no panic. But while we're on the topic of City, let's move on to the next one of FFP. Sorry, I was supposed to say FPP. I'm always doing that. Now there has been breaking news of new rules. Just let me get it up because I don't want to get this wrong. So the Premier League clubs have I can't even talk here. And that's the word. Voted in favour of provision of financial rules mirroring UEFA's squad cost control measures. So final vote will take place in June, and it introduces new rules could allow clubs to spend up to 80 to 85% of club revenue on transfer. That is massive. This is higher than UEFA's 70%. Like me and Martin were talking there before we went live there. If the money is there, if the clubs have the money, why not leave them spend it? Now there's been rumors of other things coming in with FFP, but we'll talk about just that alone, the 85%, 80 to 85% of revenue being spent on transfers. Martin, what's your take on it?
Listen, lads, it's the same bullshit we had before. It's FFP in a different name. Still doesn't allow Newcastle to spend. So it's based on revenue. We can't create revenue because Premier League keep changing the rules. So if I look at that now, and I've kind of only really, probably maybe like most people, only kind of had a quick glance at Twitter and tried to understand what it means. But it's as it currently stands, it's status quo. So yeah, exactly, yeah. So for likes of the United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs, who are making high revenue, the rules are the same. Go spend. Don't worry about the debt that you've got leveraged, how much you owe on a stadium. Man City can go and spend another 100 million on a little player, be it Paqueta or whoever they want to buy in the summer. Newcastle, who have, and obviously I'm going to use Newcastle as my reasoning, have got the richest owners in the world in a wealth fund, but we can't now still spend because the club doesn't generate the revenue. So now we've got to look at how can we generate the revenue. So we've got to look at naming our stadium, sponsorship on training kits, bigger deal with Adidas, more sponsors and everything else. But it goes back to what the change was in the summer, which was the Premier League said, well, if it's a deal, it's got to be fair market value and it can't be associated to something within your ownership circle. So again, we still can't grow revenue because we could go and get a deal from Saudi Airlines for 200 million a season, and the Premier League will go, well, no, that's not fair. That's not fair price. But who decides that? Who decides that?
Who actually makes the call? Yeah.
Yeah. So who is it? The clubs that make the call, or is it Richard Masters in the Premier League, or is it the FA, or is it UEFA? So who decides what my deal is worth and isn't worth? So for me, FFP, this is just another wrap up of FFP and the bigger clubs with the current revenue being allowed to continue to spend, while clubs like Newcastle, Villa, and other clubs are not being allowed to compete. So it's just the same bullshit wrapped up in a different name. What really boils my piss on it is that, and I know, listen, I'm sure you lads have a view on it, but what really boils my piss on it is I don't understand how the likes of, like, I read the bit today that something like 17 out of the 22 clubs or whatever, or 16 out of the 20 are going to vote it through. I don't understand what the other 14 clubs, looking at the 6 that can spend, are doing there, going, oh yeah, that's a good idea. We'll just vote this in so we can't carry on competing, but they can. Like, I don't understand how the hell that works, that you would want to vote that in. It's like I said pre coming on. If you have the money, go spend it.
The only reason I think it might make sense to them is if they see like that, okay, they'll be able to get more money and be able to stay in the top pyramid rather than getting, even if they go down to the championship, they'll have so much money that then they'll bounce back up, which then causes a problem in the overall pyramid as a whole.
I absolutely, and I kind of get that, but like, it's the whole point of not being in the league that you want to win it. Because like, if it's not, then what are you there? And I get there's some that, you know, William, to be fair, you know, you make a point, that want to stay and they're happy with, you know, their ownership is happy with that mediocrity of staying in that middle to lower piece of the table where you're not going to go down, but you're not going to win it, but you're getting your TV revenue and the club surviving and the books look nice. But like, if you're going to be
and
there,
they're
like,
filling their pockets as well with it.
Yeah, but like, for me, like, even before we had the Saudis, like, I don't know, we had Ashley, but like, you go in every season going, fuck, I'd love to win it. So like, it's no different now, even though we've got, you know, bigger owners. I still look at the start of the season. I'm looking forward to the fixtures coming out and I'm going, man, we could do, imagine if we did another Leicester. So you don't necessarily have to have the money to win the league. You have to play well. And it's the team that finishes on the top that deserves to be the winner. So I just think, and I said it to you, Evan, before we came on, I just think that the league should look at it and go, if you have the money, spend it. I think what they should have said is there can be a capital spend of X within your club over 3/4 of the season, but going into the run-in, kind of like the NFL, like once you've made your free trades and your plays and you've traded players up and you've spent, I would be more in favor of seeing a cap on salaries than I would a cap on spending. So I'd be much more in favor of the NFL version, which allows every team in the division to compete, but there's a cap whereby you can't have a team full of superstars because you have to stay within the cap of your salaries. So I think that's a much fairer way of doing it than it is, because then you've got to stay within your means. Everybody gets a fair opportunity. You're all working with the same financial budget on wages and deals for representatives and agents and everything else. But you're given a chance to compete. Whereas at the minute, you can change the rules 10 times and call FFP whatever you want to do. It doesn't make a difference. All it's doing is allowing the same continuation in the league. And until that's challenged legally. Yeah, go on.
Sorry, go on. Well, I was going to say, there's actually not a bad shout, not a bad concept. Like I said, it more evens the playing field for it all. But it kind of gives the fact that, like, they're trying to say, well, if you have rich parents, this team has poor parents, like, it's not fair that you can buy all the ice creams and he can only buy one ice cream. And do you know what I mean? But I don't think that should fall to the team itself. If it's not the team's fault or the club's fault that they got bought up by rich owners, like, do you know what I mean? Absolutely. And I think they should be well in their rights to spend the money they have.
Absolutely.
Regardless of if it's the club money or the owner's money.
Where was this 5-10 years ago? And no disrespect, I know, you know, none of us on here are United fans, but where was this 10 years ago when, you know, Fergie was spending and they were buying all the top players? You know?
Yeah.
You know, FFP and everything else was not one word said, and everybody was happy. They went out and they bought, and that's what bought them success.
I still blame Evans owners, old owners. I
Yes.
still
Yeah.
blame
Old
Abramovich.
owners.
No, I
Yeah,
still
yeah,
blame
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Like if football had its way and listened to Evan's favorite manager, Arsene Wenger, we wouldn't have had an FFP issue as much because he was all about regulating it properly at the start, and they didn't listen. Then he came in with the oil money. He spent it. Man City saw that. They got the new owners. They were able to spend it through inflated figures, which they never made.
Yeah.
I know that says prejudice, but no,
No,
like
it's
they
true.
didn't make
But
as
then,
much money as they say
Yeah.
on the books, and
absolutely. But
it's
that thing
it'll
with
come
their
out.
charges, though, William, the thing with their charges, I guarantee you, I was actually talking to a mate about this last night online. I would be shocked if City faced those 115 charges. Shocked.
I'd be shocked if they face any.
I'd be very shocked. I think they'll get away with it.
Yeah, and that's why these changes are coming in now, so that they at least don't face as harsh a punishment as they would under current rules.
Exactly. It's easy to go for
But
clubs like
even
Everton and Forest because they're not going to fight back.
but even talking
know?
about that now, and we're on about City might even get away with it. There is rumors, talks behind the scenes, behind closed doors of a luxury charge. Now I don't know if any of you heard about this yet.
I'm all for
I
that.
only heard about it last week. You're all for it, which is fair
Absolutely.
enough. Like it does come into play of your concept. If they have the money, leave and spend it. But you will
Absolutely.
be fined if you're going to spend in X amount. You'll be paying us X amount. If you spend Y amount, you'll pay us Y amount. It's
I've no
fair
problem
enough.
with
It's kind
that.
of like it's like a tax. It's like a tax.
I've no
and
problem with
having
that.
tax brackets.
Exactly.
So-
My
so
only
it-
statement on that would be, as a club, if the owners could spend and we could say, right, every window we're going to spend 150 million or 200 million or 300 million, because we can easily do it. Like Saudi money is endless. We've got billions, so we could spend that.
I still reckon
And you
Newcastle are a dark horse.
possibly, who knows? But like we could spend that. So okay, let's just say, and this is purely hypothetical, and kind of it'd be nice for, if I know Julio's in the thing there, for him to comment on this, listening in. Hypothetically, let's just say the fine for every 100 million you spend, the fine is 10 million. So Newcastle spend 300 million in a window, we're going to pay 30 million. Okay, that's fine, no problem. Our owners say, yeah, sure, it's a drip in the ocean. That gets us 2 trophies in a year. I'm going to make that 30 million back and that 300 million by doing Champions League, higher revenue, bigger crowd, bigger stadium. So we'll make that money back because that growth is just exponential. But what I want to see is if the Premier League says there is a fine for this wealth tax, so City, Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, whatever, you got to pay this, and you guys can go on and spend what you want to spend. That's fine, but use that money that's for the fines and spread that down to the lower leagues and make the lower leagues successful, and stop clubs going bankrupt who have years and years of tradition and history, like Bury and clubs like that. Stop them going out of business and support the lower league pyramids, which is what the Premier League have stopped doing 100%. So I have no problem with the wealth tax, but make sure that goes to the championship teams and right the way down to grassroots to make sure that the football is a sustainable business for all levels of the league.
The only thing with
Even-
it is, would you not worry about, say, some of these lower league teams that are just joining the Premier League, spending so much, getting hit with this wealth tax, and still getting relegated possibly, but then having hit this wealth tax, then being in real trouble of going under? If they just say, "Oh
Well,
no,
that's
we're
the
gonna
risk you're
spend
going to have
all
to
of
take.
it."
I think, in
Yeah,
fairness.
that's the risk. But if you were to take those rules, I suppose, William, then you'd have to take United as a good example and go, how is it then? Like, and again, look, not just because I'm a Newcastle fan, but like if you're talking FFP and all these things and stealth taxes and whatever else, if you have that, how can you have so much furnished debt within a club? Yes, you have the revenue. I get that. I know Keane's probably listening to go, that's because you have massive fucking revenue. Keane, you don't need to write in. I know what you're going to say already. Right? And I get that revenue. But is there not a point where someone in the Premier League, instead of going, right, Newcastle, you got loads of money you can't spend, where's the person in the Premier League looking at United and going, hang on a minute, how are you able to spend when you've got so much debt? Like, that question's not asked. So it's fine to have an absolute mountain of debt and carry on spending because that revenue's there. But like, why is that revenue not being used to clear that debt and get the club back on a better balance book? And I know that, look, at the end of the day, it's a balance sheet. It's all just numbers, but it just doesn't make any logical sense to me as to how it works. Like, you have money you can't spend, you're massively in debt, then crack on, lads, there's 700 million. Oh, it's just baffling. I don't get it.
Well,
I just don't get it.
The way I see it now, if they, like you were saying there, Martin, if they do decide every 100 million you get taxed 10 million, but if it comes to a case of, for say, if you spend 100 million you're getting taxed 10 million, if you spend 200 million you're getting taxed 20 million, if you spend 300 million you're getting taxed 30 million. So that comes up to what? That comes up to 60 million if you spend 300 million. If they do it like that, if they make the tax more harsh, we'll say, it will kind of discourage you from spending big. And
3-0.
3-0. Actually, do you know what? This is the perfect time to do it. We'll have an update on the scores there, so we will. So, like William's just thrown up there now, is in the 89th minute. What's that?
At Anfield.
At Anfield as well, yeah. So Liverpool are currently losing 3-0 to Atlanta at Anfield. I think everyone bar Liverpool fans are absolutely jumping out of their skin. Brilliant result.
Yeah.
Benfica are winning 2-1.
Scamacca couldn't score in a barn. Scamacca couldn't score in a barn door for West Ham. He's got 2 against Liverpool. It's just,
you love to see
brilliant.
it. You love to see it. Anyway, Benfica are winning 2-1 against Marseille. West Ham are currently losing against Bayer Leverkusen. We have Roma also holding the lead against AC Milan.
Come on, the Romans.
And Martin is repping Roma.
Repping Roma.
And a quick update, Aston Villa are winning 2-0. So we're at the 40-minute mark. I think, yeah, fuck it, we'll move on. We'll move on anyway. So our third topic anyway is we're going to talk about United. Just not everyone's favorite topic. We try to avoid it on this channel because fuck United. I can say that now. I'm the host. I'm the host now, and we've near a United fan in here at the moment. So happy days. So United anyway. United relying on youngsters. Now I do see this a lot at Chelsea at the moment. Chelsea have a very young team. We've only 1 or 2 scattered seasoned vets at the moment. I think we're a bit all over the place, and you can kind of see that coming out in United as well. It's not as much as Chelsea, but it is evident at United with the likes of Bruno being a seasoned vet, being an older player. We have the likes of Varane, we have the likes of Evans at the moment, and also you could even put in Rashford, who's been at the club the longest out of the whole team. Is this a concerning fact to? I know we're opposition fans, all right, but is this a concerning fact? Do you think clubs nowadays need a proper mix, or can youngsters take the lead, take the charge, and bring trophies home to clubs? What do you think, Martin?
I think you need a mix of experience and youth. Like, again, I take it from a Newcastle point of the season, we've had no option but to play some youth. Like, we've had young Lewis Miley come in after we lost Tonali and Joe Linton. He's come in and he's done, 17, 18 years old. He's done an amazing job for us in midfield. He's going to be an absolute superstar. He can't play every game. He's a 17-year-old kid. The legs are gone. He's worn out. So I think you have to take that into consideration. But I think if you're in a good club, the thing for me that I want from youth coming into any club, be it United or Arsenal, City, Chelsea, anybody, is I think it's just got to be a really good setup. I like to see them protected and get their opportunities. Like Newcastle for a lot of years had really good youth players that came through. Maybe did a season or 2 in Newcastle, like Waddle, Beardsley, Gascoigne, players like that we had, absolute quality coming through the ranks. Like even now, like Bobby Lee, Lee Clark's Lee Clark's son went to Liverpool. For me, if you've got a really good youth setup and you're going to give youth their opportunity, which, to be fair, look, Chelsea got a lot of young players going in there. I know Arsenal do it with, like the Saka and that has come through. I know United are doing it with the likes of Mainoo and players like that coming through. And Rashford at the time, came through the ranks. So there is opportunity. But the problem with it is that the opportunity is few and far between. So if you look at the sizes of, say, the youth setups at, let's just take our 3 clubs as an example.
Yeah.
Huge setups of from 23s, 21s, 19s, 17s, 16s, 15s, right the way down to juniors. Certainly in Newcastle there is. But out of all of those levels, like if I look at this season, probably only Lewis Miley come through for Newcastle. There's nobody else.
Yeah.
So if you are a youth or a graduate, like what chances do you stand of getting through? Unless there's massive injuries or anything else, the chances are if you're in the 23s, you're going to go to a lower league club at some point. I think it's really hard for players to come through. I think, it's that odd 1 or 2, the likes of a Mainoo coming through and players like that. But listen, I don't know what you lads think, but they're few and far between. But it's good to see breakout seasons, likes of a Mainoo and likes of a Miley. But will they do the same again next season? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, no, look, I hear what you're saying, and I'm actually glad this conference came up. Keen's at the point. Mainoo has a good head on the shoulders. Him and Garnacho have been carrying us lately, talking about United, which is a fair point. And I think it should be a case of, like, take Rashford for example. He's been there at the club the most now since De Gea left. Is it not kind of I don't know if embarrassing is a bit of a push, but the way Rashford is, a lot of people are saying he's lazy, strolls around the pitch, not doing much as a progressiveness. It kind of puts him in a bit of a show, really. Being honest with you, and the likes of Bruno, well, now Bruno still is playing all right, like for United, but why? Like, I know we haven't been behind the scenes in the dressing room, but why isn't the likes of Rashford getting the shout for the armband? Like, I know Bruno probably takes more of a stand, but Rashford's been there a lot longer. William, what's your take on this?
I think it is tough in terms of the young kids and everything coming in. What I say is the more successful the team is, the harder it is for the young kids to break through. Basically, you'll see it right now with Mainoo and Garnacho, especially with Man United. The reason they're getting their chance is because these older lads or these other players aren't showing the heart. They aren't showing the ability at the moment. So then when the young kids come in, they're willing to fight and scratch and claw because they're still at the start of their careers to get what they want. And then you as a fan see that, you attach yourself to that, saying he's young, he's fighting for us, he's got the right attitude. And then that's where the connection builds. Now, obviously, it'll take a whole lot more for them to come through. They've got to have the talent. They've got to have the right mentality in terms of their training and everything. Like you say, see with Saka, how he just keeps on. Everyone will know how humble he is. So that is, you know what I mean? You have to have this way of, don't get me wrong, you have to have the natural ability, but you have to have that right mentality to keep on training, pushing yourself harder, that when you get that chance, you snatch it in. And obviously, the better your team's doing, the harder it is to get that chance, as I've said.
Yeah, look, I know, I'm picking out Rashford a lot, but I think these youngsters need to be role modelled a lot better than what the older players on the pitch are shown. Like I said,
Bruno's
you have Rashford strolling around the pitch.
Man.
You have Bruno rolling around the field, crying his eyes out. Like, I don't think these are the kind of
issues are a lot more worse than, say, the personalities at their club. The main problem with them has been when they had no like sporting director or anyone not detailing the profile of team on how they want to play in terms of grabbing different people for different managers, and just they had no management at the top, which then causes the recruitment to be completely wrong because it was so mismuddled, which then the players are all just not interested because they're not the proper team, because they're not winning or being successful. Like you would have the mentality at United, you're going to be successful. So then once you're not interested, then you start getting lower and lower. And then it sets a bad example for the rest. It comes back from their management side, which then has caused the mentality of some of these players just to not care, which is annoying.
That's actually a fair take on it. Actually, yeah, that's true. It would boil down to mentality, on the squad. And being honest with you, like it is evident in some of the clubs, especially at the likes of how poor, we'll say, a big club like Chelsea is doing, and how, we'll say, United was compared to every other season. This season, the swap of the managers, in and outs, rumors of who's going to be next, given that the team is doing so bad. Like I said, from the Chelsea United side of things, yeah, no, it can be disheartening, and like it can be. Well, if the older players are going to be not bothered, well, I'm not going to be not bothered, but it could turn to a case of like, do they need more stronger mentality players on the team, and to really give the youngsters a kick up the hole and showing lads that's not how you do it now. You have to be more like this, and no matter who's at the top, or no matter who's managing, no matter who's on the sideline, no matter if you're starting or subbed on, you have to be ready to fucking fight and ready to go head for leather, no matter what's been done out behind the scenes. Like, yeah, there we have it again. Atlanta 3-0 at Anfield. Wow, I love to see it.
First loss at Anfield for Liverpool in 14 months.
Is it actually?
Here's hoping for a second one this weekend.
Yeah. Let's hope so. Yeah, first
it's the absolute
sensation. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, no, look, that kind of takes us through what we were kind of talking about. If we want, for the last 10 minutes, we can chat about Champions Leagues, or if there's anything you want to anything you wanted to bring up that we haven't talked about already.
Yeah, I've a United point, which I suppose I'll get the views on. So just, it kind of does link back into the whole youth thing. So as an outsider, and I suppose my question around this is about players that come into view at a club. Do you think that social media hypes them up to a point of being better than they actually are? And my case in point would be Mainoo coming through. Listen, I think he's a good little player. I think he got in a very good window at United probably at the right time with injuries. But lads, is he a fucking England player? I'm not convinced after 3 games that he gets a full England cap and gets on. Now, listen, I did watch the England game.
You're stirring a lot of feathers here. You're ruffling a lot of feathers here, Martin.
He played okay, but seriously, like, if we didn't have social media, would Mainoo have got a full cap for England? Is my question.
That is a very intense question.
To be honest, just because, I mean, he is better than fucking Calvin Phillips.
That's true. In fairness,
that's fair enough. Look,
I would say the 3 of us are better than Calvin Phillips, and that's saying something.
The poor man. Oh God. Yeah, no, look, that is a very fair point. You could argue a lot of that for a lot of players that have been through.
I'm just using him as the one example. I'm not picking on the kid. I'm not picking on United. It's just one that I look at because, like, you just look at it, like, some of the players that get opportunities, and I just think, like, if I take it back 15 years, like, you know, like, if I take as a very, very good example, coming through the ranks, Newcastle, Paul Gascoigne. Like, Paul Gascoigne was, you know, worked his way through as a bit of a mercurial genius playing football before he got anywhere near England. And he was probably at the peak of his powers when he left Newcastle and went to Spurs and went to Lazio, and then was obviously playing for England, you know, Euro 96 being a prime example. I just don't get the hype around how a player can come out of nowhere, play a couple of games in the first team for any club, and the whole world think that he's that fabulous. And I just think, like, if that was 5-10 years ago and it was a Mainoo coming through or a Saka, there's no way an international manager is picking somebody without the hype that comes across Sky TV, TNT, Talk Sports, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, all this other stuff that's out there now. So I was just interested to see what you lads thought, whether you think that's something that's changed, or is it that the kid's genuinely a world class player? I'm not convinced personally.
I think he has the potential to be, but at the same time, he's only getting that chance because he's a kid that's showing his ability to put on his head around a poor Man United side, which means he's getting the chance because he is showing up and being one of the only players at Man United that is willing to fight. Now, whether or not he's one of the best, your only years are going to find out. We're only going to find out in a couple of seasons, and it's going to take a lot of mentality with a few of the players that he's around in order to try and grow. Like, United is a very, at the moment, toxic place between the fan base and the owners and between everything. There's no connection in many places. The only connection is with, say, the young guy, Mainoo, which then for him to grow, you have to hope that he is strong enough to use that with that one connection with the fans being greater than the disconnect between the fans and the rest of the club, which is very difficult to do. And that's why he's getting given the chance, because he's doing it so far, but he'll have to do it season upon season upon season if he stays at Man United.
That is I think that's a bang on answer there from William. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like, I think it's way too soon. It's too short of a time to make a call on, and how good he is at the moment. Like William said, if it's repeated season after season, fair enough. But at the moment, he's done very well in the very short amount of time he's had. So he had, and I think that's why people are getting the awe about him. But like this comment is saying, Mainoo style play got him in. It allows Jude Bellingham to play higher, which I don't think Southgate is that tactical genius to even be thinking that in the first place.
No, Southgate's an idiot, to be fair. He normally picks on favoritism. And again, don't get me wrong. Listen, I know there's a lot of United fans that watch this, that watch us on this pod. I'm not getting at United or Mainoo in any way, shape, or form. Listen, I wish the kid all the best. I hope he goes on to be an absolute superstar. I just think there'd be a lot of changes if we didn't have social media. I think there's more media hype around. It's kind of like, it's like the in thing. It's the kind of like the fad of the moment, and in 6 months it might be somebody else. So it's just
And that's
it brings us back to this comment here from Jennifer. It says Sky is to blame. The hype is so bad.
Yeah.
I think that's just.
I don't think she's too far wrong.
The social media has grown and built it so high. The Sky see that's the best way to get clicked, so they've acted along the same lines as social media to go along that route.
Exactly.
No, I agree.
You have to think of the world we're in today now, and how big of an influence technology and social media has on everyone. Everyone has a phone these days. Everyone is on some form of social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever you get your social media from, everyone has it. Everyone's connected in some way, and soccer is the biggest sport in the world. Everyone's going to be talking about it in some shape or form, and Sky are obviously going to pick up this. And if a young player has come in and done so well in a short amount of time, it's going to be picked at, and then people are going to obviously see it, react to it, post their interactions, post their debates about it, agree or disagree, like, and it's just going to build on that, like, which is, do you know what I mean? Unfortunately, the way we have it, like, and if we didn't have social media in this day and age, would there be that hype around us? You could argue probably not. Probably not. I'd have to say, like, but
we'll never know because we have it.
The age, exactly. We'll never know. It's just the age we're in, like. But look, I think that is a perfect note to wrap everything up on, lads. It's been a good chat. We had nice topics there. Great laugh. A lot of comments in there now. On all the different topics. 58-minute mark is grand. I think I'm happy there. If you want to plug yourselves there, lads, let us know where we can catch you, tags, everything, ins and outs, what you're at.
Yeah, look, it's on the hashtag there. So at mags_mighty. So you'll get me on Twitter. Tend to have the odd rant. I use the C word occasionally. I don't like FFP, and I have an absolute passionate distaste for Sunderland, and that's about it, really. But yeah, you'll find me on there. My views are my own, and I will update my bio on Twitter and add in that I'm now part of this panel. So I will update my header later on when I get off this. So yeah, listen again, for anybody that missed us at the start, absolutely delighted to have been asked to join you guys full time. So thank you very much. I'm very, very honoured to Keane, Julio, Johnny, and all the boys that do come on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the future with you boys. So thanks very much.
Happy days. Look, like I said, Martin, it's an absolute pleasure to have you. I'm glad to have you by my side now on this as well. Before we move on to William, just a quick one from Trevor. Trevor, Chelsea are a decent team. They'll always be a decent team. We aren't finished. We'll never be finished, and we're coming back stronger and better. So moving on to William. William, where can we find you? What are you up to on the daily?
Much. Again, not too active on Twitter, but it is down there, and I believe I'll get way more active if we actually do go on and win the league, because then my trolling does begin. Because I stay humble until it's possibly going to happen. Then when it does happen, I will go mad for once, and you will see I will be a nightmare, especially in that group chat. It would be coming.
Exactly.
Never hear the end of
it. Just promise me, Will, if you don't win it, please don't come at me on Twitter about the 1 point you lost to St James.
He's gunning for you. He's gunning for you, Martin.
Yeah, I know.
As I said, the Twitter is down there. Willie Shilly Bry. Yeah. And I believe I will have to get going on Twitter before I head over to my next Arsenal match, which happens to be the Arsenal versus Chelsea game.
Is it actually?
I will be at that match. I have the tickets there, and I am buzzing for that one, especially if we're still in the run.
I'm gonna have to block you.
I won't be able to be on my phone. I'll probably lose my voice, but
probably. So yeah, that leaves me to last. So obviously, MFI98 on Twitter. You can catch me on TikTok. It's probably one of the main platforms that I'm on. The Jersey Man, I give away free jerseys every now and then through jersey competitions. And I am now, after moving on to a brand new app solely for soccer content called Only Bands. Not OnlyFans. I don't have an OnlyFans. Only Bands.
Yes.
So it is. So this app now, you can obviously create an account. You get challenges or questions. You can do a short 30-second video to these questions, giving your opinion on said topic. Could be like, is Arteta ready for the final stages of the Premier League? Are Liverpool going to bottle the season? How is FFP going to affect Man City? All the ins and outs, and you can challenge other content creators on said app and voice your own opinion. Other people then vote, and whoever wins after 3 rounds obviously gets the wins. It's great to discuss, have civil conversations, have heated debates, whatever you want, you name it. So it's a very good app. You can catch me over on that. I'm currently being challenged by everyone, called out a lot of people, and yeah, no, it's a good buzz day if you want just pure soccer content. So yeah, we'll wrap it up with that, lads. Everyone, thank you all for watching. This has been my debut main hosting. So glad to have you. Thanks very much, lads.